A key factor for Mexican independence was the occupation of the Spanish throne by Napoleonic troops that left Spain with Joseph Bonaparte as a head of the state in 1808. The next year, the Valladolid Conspiracy is created, and in 1810, the Conspiracy of Querétaro, formed by Josef Ortiz, Miguel Domínguez, Hidalgo, Aldama, and Allende. They were discovered and forced to call people to arms in order to gain independence with the cry of Dolores in September the 16th. At that moment, two armies were at conflict. The Realistas, formed by Spaniards, and the Insurgentes, formed by Creoles, Mestizos, and natives. During one of the battles in Guanajuato, Hidalgo meets with Father Morelos. In 1811, Hidalgo, Allende, Aldama, and Jimenez were captured and killed, their heads exposed in the Alhóndiga de Granaditas. Morelos takes lead of the Independence War. In 1814, during the campaign of Chilpancingo, he wrote Sentimientos de la Nación, and later, based on the Cádiz Constitution, he wrote Apatzingan Constitution. In 1815, Morelos is killed, and a series of battles in the Sierra took place, known as the Guerra de Guerrillas. Vicente Guerrero and Agustín de Iturbide formed the Ejército Trigarante with the Plan de Iguala and the Acatempac Hug, which defended the three guarantees in the Mexican flag: independence, religion, and unity. In September 21, 1821, Juan O'Donoghue and Agustín de Iturbide signed the Córdoba Treaty, recognizing Mexico as an independent nation.
September 21st, 1821, Treaty of Córdoba signed by Juan O'Donoghue and Iturbide. This recognized Mexico as independent nation. 1822 to 1823, Iturbide's empire was characterized for the absolutism, the poor economy, and for the benefits being only for the high classes and the military. February 1st, 1823, Santa Anna, among others, disclaims Iturbide with the Plaza Mata Plan. 1824 to 1828, Guadalupe Victoria is named President of Mexico. The first federal constitution was written. In the political situation, there was a lack of political parties. The Catholic Church was interfering. The USA pretends seizing Mexican territories, and the foreign day with Britain and France. In 1828, Isidro Barrandas pretends to conquer Mexico again, but fails. 1829 to 1831, Manuel Gómez Pedraza is elected president, but Vicente Guerrero starts a rebellion, accepts Pedraza, and becomes president. The internal debt grew, and in the same year, Anastasio Bustamante supports the rebellion against Guerrero, and in 1830 seizes power as president. 1831 to 1833, Anastasio Bustamante tries to improve the situation, introduces the public institution Hacienda, the Banco Fabio, and also brings industrialization to the country and imports. 1833 to 1835, Santana is chosen as president and Valentín Gómez Farías as vice president. In his reign, he tries to lessen church powers by limiting it in aspects like education, religious orders, goods management, and the military.
1835, President Antonio López de Santa Anna establishes Mexico as a centralist republic. Centralist constitution established by the Congress, also known as the Seven Laws. This unsettles the north regions due to the loss of autonomy of the states. The Anglo-living population in Mexican territories took a chance to join the U.S. and become independent from Mexico. 1836, May 14, Antonio López de Santa Anna, in order to gain his freedom, signs the Velasco Treaties, recognizing Texas' independence from Mexico. The same year, Spain recognizes Mexico as an independent nation. 1838, France sends troops to the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, demanding a payment of a supposed robbery to a French pastry shop and the debt of former loan. The conflict became known as Guerra de los Pasteles. British ambassador in Mexico had to interfere to get an agreement between both countries. 1839, peace treaties were signed and Mexico paid its debts. Friction between the U.S. and Mexico increased due to the inhuman treatment from Anglo population towards Mexicans and the increase of the debt, which USA this led to the War of 1847. 1847, September 13, the Battle of Chapultepec Castle. 1848, February, the interim president Manuel de la Peña y Peña and the peace commissioner Nicolas Pitrist signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo to finally cease the war between the countries. Mexico gave up almost half of the territory, and the U.S. paid $15 million to repair war expenses. USA acquired a lot of territory, which helped it to surge as a world power by the end of 19th century. April 1853. Gadsden purchase of the Venta de Mesilla was signed by the dictator Antonio López de Santa Anna and President Franklin Pierce, due to more friction between population and establishment on anti-greaser laws. Mexico gave up a region of southern Arizona and New Mexico, giving an official end to the Mexican-American War.
In 1855, a group of liberals, among them Juan Alvarez, published a plan of Ayutla in order to overthrow Santana and define Mexico as a federal democratic republic. Santana is captured and killed. Juan Alvarez becomes an interim president, and in December of the same year, Ignacio Comonfort is elected president. The Constitution of 1857 includes the Juarez Law 1855 and Lerdo Laws 1856, which give the right to vote to people, freedom of religion, and started the process of the Confiscation Act. Citizens of the Catholic Church has conflict with the new constitution. 1858, the President Ignacio Comonfort, along with the conservation, started a coup d'etat with the Tacubaya plan against the constitution of the liberals. The same year, Benito Juárez takes advantage of the situation and seizes the presidential chair. In 1858, Juárez transferred the capital to Veracruz and the Reform War starts, conservative against liberal. 1859, conservatives seek Spain for help and signed the Treaty of Mont-Almonte, which graduated the payment of the debts pending since the government of Santana. In December of the same year, liberals signs with the United States the Treaty of Macleo Campo, which allowed traffic through the Tehuantepec Neck. In June of 1859, Juárez promulgated the Reform Law, which separated the state from the church, and in 1861, the Reform War ended. 1861, Juárez finds a weak economic and decides to suspend the payment of foreign debts to France, Spain, and British. This caused intervention of the countries. The same year, military presence in Veracruz accords in the London Convention. The Mexican government agrees to continue paying the debts. British and Spain retires, but France continues its advances to the capital.
May 5, 1862, Mexican victory of the Battle of Puebla. 1864 to 1867 was the Second Empire when Maximiliano de Habsburgo accepts the Mexican crown with the Miriam Treaty. In this time, Mexico dealt with a huge economic crisis. 1867, the Republic was restored. Benito Juárez returned to the presidential chair until 1872, and Lerdo de Tejada as vice president until 1876. These elections caused the liberal group to break apart. 1871. Porfirio writes the Noria Plan in order to disclaim Lerdo and Juárez. He succeeds, and in 1876 begins his reign, also called the Porfiriato. At the beginning, it was a democratic and federal form of government, but then became a dictatorship. 1908. Porfirio Diaz was interviewed by James Krillman. During the interview, he mentioned Mexico may be ready to handle a democratic election. 1910. Francisco I. Madero wrote the Plan of San Luis, which started the Mexican Revolution.